Okay, everybody, hello, and welcome to call number 2, Rockstars on the Rise. Last week, we talked about how to get bookings when you don't have any in the calendar, how to get them from out and abouts. And this week, we're going to talk about how to get bookings at your parties. So once you do the work of getting those shows in the books, how many of you are like, okay, I worked really hard to fill my calendar. There's nothing I would like better than to never have to do that again. Anybody feel that way? Yeah. I mean, I love doing fairs and stuff like that to keep a steady flow of business coming my way. But I don't want to do parties one night and then be knocking on doors or calling people or messaging people, oh, where are my next parties coming from? So, it's nice once you do the work of getting those foundational parties in place to just kind of exhale and be able to sustain your calendar from the parties that you have on the books. And then you can just focus on the fun and maybe something like, the team building without having to worry about the show schedule. So that's what we call that self-sustaining calendar. So 2 things you need to have a self-sustaining calendar. First of all, you need those initial parties in place. And then you need the skills and the habits to get the bookings that you need from the parties. So obviously, step 1 is fill your calendar. And guys, when you're looking at your calendar, you want to look at a 30-day span. Right now, it's just, obvious, look at the month of September. If you need more ideas, you can re-listen to the call from last week, but also, be asking each other, be looking for people who have a full calendar and pick their brains for their best ideas this time of year. Listen to the call. Maybe last week you focused on 1 or 2 ideas. You can re-listen to the call and pull out another couple of ideas. Step 2, and I cannot stress this enough, overbook by about 1 to 2 parties. Seriously, I know this might sound counterintuitive, but it will make your life so much easier. Because honestly, I can't remember the last time I had a month where every single party held. It rarely happens. Work schedules change, people get sick, their kids get sick or whatever. So, and I found when I booked just as many as I needed, I was constantly have to, one would cancel and all of a sudden now I've got to, oh my gosh, I got to find a replacement for that party. And that was more time consuming than just getting an extra party or 2 in place and just kind of being on my way. I like to hold 10 parties a month, so I generally book 12. So who wants to unmute and tell me what you think I do when my schedule goes from 12 to 11 because I have a cancellation? What do you think I do?
Ooh, well, I wasn't going to answer that, but I was going to say when you book 12 parties, what's the worst can happen? You have 12 parties.
12 parties hold. But what do you think happens when I have 1 cancellation and I go down to 11? What do you think I do?
Not panic?
I go, good. I didn't want to do 12. Yay. I want 10. And now I've got 11. What do you think happens when 11 goes to 10?
You celebrate?
I go, woo, I want to do 10. And now, how often do you think 10 goes to 9? Not often. What do you think I do at that point?
Not panic?
Not panic. I go, I can still get 10 parties left. So at the next party I go to, I'm going to offer some kind of little extra incentive to fill that date because I don't want to spend a lot of time filling my calendar. If that doesn't work, I'll post something to my What's Cooking with Karen VIP group. If that doesn't work, I start personally reaching out. How often do you think that happens in an average year?
1 or 2 times?
Yep, exactly right. And apparently it happens when I move. So I'm not the greatest host coacher. So I actually had to buckle down to get my August in shape, and it wasn't as stellar as I'd like, but I'm back on track for September. But I want you to think of that because sometimes we think about reaching out to fill our calendar and it's like, I got to fill my calendar. But if you can picture life on the other side, once you get those parties in place and that you can just show up at your parties, have a great time, and just know you are going to be in front of so many people, and we've got great products and great specials coming up and great products that are coming out on September 1st. You just know you're going to get the bookings you need Life is really fun. Okay, so pick whatever number is right for you, add 1 or 2 onto it. You will not be disappointed. You're not going to have to do the starting and stopping and starting and stopping. You're just going to be riding a wave. Anybody want to ride a wave? Yeah, and yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, step 3. Once you are booked for your 30-day period, you want to turn your focus onto the bookings that you're getting from your party. What number do you think should be a good number that you're going to make your minimum? Like, I want to book X number of parties per party. 2 to 3. Yep. We used to have a saying, my job isn't through until I book 2, but 3 is even better. And if you just say, okay, I'm getting these parties on the books, and for 1 month, I'm just going to make it my mission not to submit a show until I have 3 bookings from it. Your life is just going to be grand from there on out. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to secure the bookings from your show, both virtual and live. So there's some things that are all that virtual and live parties have in common when you want to secure bookings on the spot. Number 1, host coach for high attendance, whether it's virtual attendance or attendance at your parties. Okay, the number that for people who do tons of virtual parties, they say the number they're looking for is 30 attending per host. Okay, that's what they're working on with their host. That's what they're coaching toward. If 30 click attending, usually 10 will order. Okay, and then you want to set a goal with your hosts. How many of you regularly talk to your hosts about a booking goal? 1. Okay. Do your hosts know what's in it for them when their friends book from them? Do they know they get a half price item? Okay. Do you ever talk to them about set a goal for 3 bookings? If you haven't yet, I strongly encourage you to do it. Definitely with the virtual parties, that's kind of they've got already made images that you can post, and you might have balloons, and every time someone books, you pop a virtual balloon. Thank you so-and-so for hosting. Remember, when 3 people book, our host is going to get fill in blank. I was a little hesitant when I first heard this idea because I thought it was going to cost me money. However, not everybody gets 3, but if they're aiming for 3, they'll probably end with 2, which means you're not paying for an incentive. Even if they get 3, they don't always hold. So you're not paying for an incentive. It's only when all 3 parties hold within a certain time frame that you decide. You might say, when you get 3 bookings within the next 60 days. So now they have to get 3 bookings. They all have to hold and qualify within 60 days, or you're not giving an incentive. Okay? So keep that in mind. And then you partner with your hosts. Okay? So think about an incentive you might offer. And working with your host, partnering with your host. And of course, promote the promotion. Pampered Chef is offering a half price item at each one of those parties. And do you guys know it's items or sets, right? It could be a knife, it could be a knife block set, a piece of cookware, a cookware set. Sets count for future party picks. So do you notice a theme for the first 3 things when it comes to bookings? All about host coaching. Host coaching for attendance, host coaching for those bookings. Have you ever talked to your hosts about outside bookings? We often talk about outside orders. Have you ever talked to your hosts about outside bookings? We know that usually 2/3, at an in-home party, usually 2/3 of the local people who are invited are not going to be able to come. And, we often talk to our hosts about, you don't want to miss out on outside orders. If they can't come, see if they want to take a look at the catalog. Well, I tell my hosts, be looking out for the people who are super disappointed that they have to miss the party. Because you can say to those people, when they say, oh, I'm so bummed you're going to miss your party because I love Pampered Chef. Oh my gosh, you should have a party of your own that on a day that works better for you. If you do, I'll definitely come because I get a half price item if you book. If you want me to have my Pampered Chef lady contact you. Of course, Josh, you'll change the wording a bit. So let them know who to look out for. And I say, look out for those people who place an outside order and they write down a few things and maybe cross off a few things because they've already blown their budget, and they go, oh, I got to stop there. Oh my gosh, you should think about having a party of your own to get the rest of what you want. So it's not just enough to say to your host, get some outside bookings, or, you know, it'd be great if you got 3 bookings from your party because I'll give you an incentive. People have to have 2 things in place in order to take action on something. They have to have the will, they have to want to do it, and then they have to have the skill. They have to know how to do it. So it's not just enough to offer your host an incentive for 3 bookings. You got to then say, now they're like, ooh, I want that incentive. Well, here's some ideas to help you make that happen. Okay, so you tell them who to look out for, and you give them words to say. Any of you, oh, Josh says you're curious about this. If someone books after the party closes, can the original host still get booking credit? The answer is yes, but shh, not telling anybody. It's actually a glitch in the system. That never used to be the case. But something happened along the way, but we don't make that common knowledge. It doesn't help anybody. But yes. But for the incentive, I would say they have to have the parties on the books by the time the party closes, 3 of them within 60 days. At least that's what I would choose. But remember, we're all our own CEOs, so we all get to decide what we offer. But that would be my suggestion. How many of you love it when people give you words to say? I know when I was new, I was like, give me the words to say. So the same thing is true with your host. Your hosts want the words to say. You know, they're like, yeah, I'd love to get 3 bookings, but they want to pressure their friends. They don't know what to say. So that's why I say you educate them. You train them on who they're looking for and what to say. And just like when I give words to consultants, when I suggest words, I almost always say to the consultant, so does that sound like something you could say? I say it to my host too. When I give them some words for bookings, I ask them, so if I sent you that wording, do you feel like you could send it to people? Or does that sound like something you could say? Most of the time they say, yeah, that sounds great. I never would have thought of that. But sometimes they're like, I don't know. And then I'll ask them, what part didn't feel right? Maybe I can give you a little bit different wording that might feel more comfortable for you. But most of my hosts are thrilled with the wording. They're like, I never would have thought of that. Okay, so give them the words to say. I got to bring my notes back up. Okay, so like I said, the theme is host coaching. For a long time, I wanted to get higher sales and bookings at my shows, and I focused on what was happening at the shows, when really I needed more people at the shows and I needed to host coach a little better. So any part of this business you want to fix, almost always the first thing I would suggest looking at is how can you host and coach first, because it's the foundation of everything. Okay, before we move on to what happens at the parties to secure bookings, any questions or comments?
So my takeaway from this is that if you've got processes that you follow and you follow them, you will be successful and your business will gain the momentum to almost run itself.
Right. You know, when you're a new driver, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Are the mirrors right? Did I put my seatbelt on? But after you've been driven for a while, you do a lot of it almost automatically. So I still have a host coaching checklist, and Pampered Chef gives us all kinds of support materials. But when you hear an idea you want to run with and you want to incorporate it, because I said we were going to cover not only ideas, but habits, okay? Because it's not just about, oh, good, I've got this great idea to work with my host. If you don't have the habits in place to make sure you're talking to each host about this, it doesn't do any good the fact that you know how to do it, which is why my business was a little in the last month or so, because I moved. My skills are still the same, but I didn't implement the habits because I was a little distracted. So it speaks to habits for sure. So when you want to do something new with your host coaching, my suggestion is print out some of the materials that the home office gives us and write in or, you know, type in the changes you want to make and be very intentional about that in the beginning. After you do it a few times, it's going to be like driving a car. And all of a sudden you're driving and you're, okay. Apparently there's a baby sleeping next door. A little quiet. Okay. So yes, thank you, Erica, for that reminder. Yeah, you don't want to figure out what you're going to do, but then you're going to figure out how are you going to remember to do it. And for me, what's worked in the past is put it in a checklist. If I have a checklist, I do what's on the list in front of me. Okay. All right, so now let's talk about your at the shows. I'm going to talk a little bit about virtual parties first. Again, when it comes to host coaching, you want to aim for 30 attending. Okay, if you have 30 attending, approximately 10 will place orders. We have a great video done by Sue Moulton that's been posted in Ventures. Underneath it in the comments are support materials by people who do a ton of virtual parties and get bookings left and right. So I'm going to refer you to really, if you're doing virtuals, dig into that. And I would say listen twice. Listen the first time without taking notes. Just listen, let it, kind of just let it rush over you or roll over you. And then the second time go in and take those notes of the things you want to make sure you implement. But some things that I have heard that I have definitely implemented that has worked. When I'm doing a virtual party, the first thing I do before the host starts inviting everybody, under the sun, I have the host personally message at least 5 people that they know well that use Facebook all the time and say, will you be my plants? When I send you the invitation, will you accept it right away and hop in and start commenting? Okay, these people, they're going to help get the ball rolling for everybody. And those people, a couple of them are probably going to be your strongest booking leads. At the beginning of the party, the biggest thing is you want the guests to message you first, because Facebook doesn't like it when we send a lot of outgoing messages to people we aren't friends with. But if they message us first, we can talk with them all we want. Facebook doesn't get mad. Okay? And when they message us, we want to just have a conversation with them. When someone comes to an in-home party, I don't start talking about bookings. I just say, how do you know the host? Oh, you guys work together? What is it you do? Or how do you know the host? Oh, you guys grew up together? Where did you grow up? And I just, just a few superficial questions just to connect with them. And you want to do the same thing in the virtual world. So at the beginning of the party, when you reward them, with a ticket or whatever for messaging you, start just a little bit of a conversation. And one thing Sue Moulton does is she asks them what kind of food they like to cook and if they have any allergies or anything like that. And she pops onto the Pampered Chef website and gives them a recipe. All right. So connecting with people is really important. As a culture, do we invite strangers into our home? No, we do not. And yet that's exactly what we hope happens. Whether people invite us virtually or invite us live, we want people that we've never met before to say, I'm inviting this salesperson over to sell to my family and friends. People don't generally do that, but they invite friends over or they invite people that they like over. So they have to feel connected to us. So we want to, as quickly as possible, not be a stranger. We don't have to be their new best friend, but we want to not be a stranger. So connecting is really important. Let the guests know at a virtual party what's in it for their host when they book. You can share that the host is going to get a 50% off item when they schedule a party of their own before the party closes. And of course, you can create desire for that by showing off, some of the power tools that are on special in September and posting the upcoming host bonus. You guys, focus on the 1 month you're booking. Don't give people a menu of all the upcoming host specials. When people are attending my parties right now, the only thing that they're hearing about is September. Okay? Work with the host on the 3 booking bonus. And what a lot of really successful virtual consultants do is that they give some words to say to their host to copy and paste to 8 to 10 people, encouraging their friends. So the host is going to do the work of reaching out because obviously she's got a great connection with her people and send something to 10 people saying, oh my gosh, you should totally have a party. Oh, you'll get so much stuff and, you're obviously, loving a lot of what you see. And hey, by the way, if you decide to host, I will attend your virtual party. I'll be super interactive and I will definitely place an order. Okay. And again, words to say are definitely in the support materials that are posted under Sue Moulton's video training that she did. And just like we use a survey slip in an in-home show, most people I know who do a lot of virtual parties use a virtual survey slip. Either you can post questions and say, message me with these answers, because again, that's going to get people to message you first. And of course, you reward them with extra tickets into the drawing to complete the survey. Or other people have posted a Google Doc that people can just click on and fill it out. Okay. And then use the survey slip to do a full, yes, Erica, you're muted. You're still muted.
I had it set up so I could hold down my space bar and it would unmute me, but apparently, anyways, Google Docs, if you don't have Gmail, can you still access and use Google Docs?
I have no idea. Does anybody know the answer to that? Brooklyn, is the answer no? Or saying you don't know anything about that?
Okay.
I wish I did, but you know what?
I believe, I'm sorry, I think you need a Gmail account in order to do the Google Docs, or at least to be able to share.
Okay.
Josh?
If you, go ahead, Josh.
Google it's taken me a long time to figure it out, but if you set your sharing settings so that it's available to anybody without logging in, then anybody, whether they have a Google account or not, can go ahead and do it. But you got to find those buttons to click.
Okay, awesome. Good to know. All right, yeah, I'm not the techie person. So it takes a village. And usually when there's 4 or 5 of us on a call, there's answers out there. So thanks, guys. All right. So once you have the survey, whether they're just sending you, personally messaging you with answers, or you use a Google Doc or something else that you come up with, you want to do a full service checkout. Just like we do it in home parties, we're talking with the guests and we're looking at the survey slip and talking to them about if they want information about the business or hosting a party. You want to do the same thing at your virtual parties. Reaching out. So when someone places an order, you thank them for the order on the event, and Josh does a great job. He thanks the person for placing an order. He compliments what they purchased. He picks at least one item and says, you are going to love the blah 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 that you're getting. Maybe gives them an idea for it, but then to follow up with a personal thank you to that person, and then to say to them, hey, would you be interested in considering hosting a virtual party of your own to add to your Pampered Chef collection? How does that sound? Or what do you think? All right, again, asking that open-ended question so it encourages a conversation and not just a yes or a no. Okay, so basically you're taking the things that we do in in-home parties and you're just taking it to the virtual world. Okay, so if you started with in-home parties, just take what you already know and flip the switch. Okay. All right. So that's sort of the basis of securing those parties at a virtual party. Using the booking bonus that the home office gives to us. We didn't always have a booking bonus like this. They did it as a tool for us to secure bookings. Now, there's nothing stopping us from clicking a booking tab in a show and making up a date. When someone says, I'd love to have a party, but I don't know when, and you say, okay, I'll just make something up. But I'll tell you right now, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're shooting the host who could be booking in the foot, and you're shooting the past host in the foot, because the likelihood of that party holding is not very high. And by the time you follow up with that person a month or 2 later, their enthusiasm is gone. Okay, so you want to use the booking credit. And we're going to talk about some common hesitations and some ways we can use that booking credit to get people who, even if they don't want to book for a little while, to actually stop and take a couple of minutes and pick out a date. but it's really important to use that booking credit. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about in-home parties. How to get bookings from your in-home parties on the books before you leave. My goal is at least 10 people in attendance. Closer to 15 is better. Making the party fun and easy. One recipe. Why one recipe? Why is that important when it comes to bookings? What do you think?
Are you talking about in-home parties or virtual parties?
Yep, now we're talking in-home parties. We've switched gears.
Is it because then you have more time for talking and less time working?
Yes, that's one of them. Yes, you have time to connect with the guests. Why else? Erica?
Two things. One, to keep the cost down for the host.
Yep.
And so that you're not running out of time.
Yes. If people look and think, oh my goodness, I gotta have a spread like this, I'm gonna spend $150 on food, forget it. The one simple recipe keeps it very affordable for the host. Another thing, if people look and say, oh my gosh, and I had this Pampered Chef party and the woman was there till 10:30, they think I don't have time for that. But if you keep it to one recipe, and people leave wanting more. When people leave wanting more, they want to book and they want to come back, and their friends want to come back to see what's next. Okay, so that's important, and that's, you know, specific to an in-home party. One recipe, keep it simple, keep them wanting more. Okay, just like with a virtual party, you want to focus on booking 1 month and choose the recipe based on the month you want to book. You want to book September? You better be using one of those awesome power tools that's on special in September. Okay? I'm using the blender because you can always incorporate a blender and then one other power tool. And now I can say, oh, by the way, have a party in September. You can choose either one of these at 60% off. And the other one you can get for free. So if you want both of them, September's your month. This one's 60% off, that one free. Everybody's happy. Okay, so you're focusing on 1 month and you're choosing the recipe based on that upcoming host bonus. When I'm at my in-home parties, oh, Kitty's coming in.
This is Juniper.
Hi, Juniper. What a cutie. Okay, so when I'm at my parties, I'm building a virtual booking Sunday. Okay, what do you guys think is the #1 reason why a person schedules a party at an in-home party?
To get free and half off products?
One would think that's most of what people think, but it's Pampered Chef did research. That was not the #1 reason.
Is it to get together with friends?
Fun. Fun was the top of the list. People said things like, this was so much fun and I wanted to get that product. Or I had such a good time and I wanted to invite my family and friends over to see it. Or we had such a blast and I learned so much. And so what preceded everything was they had a good time. Don't underestimate. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be a stand-up comic. It just means you need to be a facilitator of fun. First and foremost, our guests are there for fun, not for a cooking class. Although people love to learn stuff, but we want to make sure, you know, if not everybody is listening to you because they're chatting and laughing, let them chat and laugh. It's okay. Because first and foremost, we want to make sure that they are having fun. So that's part of the Sunday that I build. Make sure people are having fun. Definitely let them know about the host rewards. Tie it into a couple products that you're using. And of course, when you're sitting down afterwards, have them flip that catalog over and let them know what's in it for them. That's sort of the ice cream in the sundae. I like to create a word picture about an upcoming theme. So you might say, so guys, if you're thinking to yourself, wow, I thought I was coming to a Pampered Chef party to replace an item that broke, but I had no idea they have a blender and a rock and apparently I need new knives. You know, you might want to think about having a party. And in the month of September, not only can you be the first on the market with the new catalog and get in on these great specials, but I'm offering 2 special themes this month. And then I just take a minute to tell them about the theme. And it really doesn't matter what theme you're offering. Whatever you've got products for that makes you excited, you're going to be able to share that with your hosts. So pick a couple themes, you tell them about it, and all of a sudden, people are like, oh, I really could come back next month or next week and have a party, because it's going to be a different experience. It's like seeing a different movie. Okay? People are, some people go back to the same movie over and over. But other times it's like, I'll go back to the movie theater in 2 weeks, but I don't want to see the same movie. So you tell them about a different movie they can come and see, and now they want to come back. The other thing that I do at my live parties is what I call brag the objection. Is there anything that you guys are hearing, and you could probably take this to the virtual world as well. What is a hesitation that you might be hearing about scheduling a party in September? Anybody hearing anything? Everybody's muted. Anybody got a hesitation they're hearing? Nobody's hearing any hesitation. Okay, so when I'm at the Pampered Chef party, a live party, and after we've cooked and I've planted the seeds about the host bonus, and we're sitting down and we're chatting, and I'm going through the specials, and I remind them about the September special, and I have them flip over the catalog, and then I say, oh, and by the way, here are the themes that I'm offering. And then I'll say something like, now I know what some of you might be thinking. Gosh, I'd love to have a party, but are people busy because it's the beginning of the school year? I'm not really sure. Well, here's something to consider. Once people are back in school, they're back to a routine. They tend not to be on vacation because the kids are back in school. Most kids who have sports, they do them on the weekends. So if you pick like a midweek date, like a Tuesday, we could do a Taco Tuesday, or we could do a Thirsty Thursday. If you pick a midweek date, chances are really good people will be around. And if you pick it early in the school year, the homework assignments haven't gotten really heavy yet. So the parents are usually pretty chill. So, and you know what? We could do a prep ahead workshop, if you like, for all your friends who have school age kids. So I take if you're hearing something, a common objection, just call it out. Call it out on the carpet. Pick one objection. Don't pick 10. But just put it out there and find a solution for it. Because by the time people come out to check out with me, I'm not really good at turning no's into yeses when it comes to bookings. But if they're practically a yes by the time they come to check out, it's a piece of cake. So if I've given them many reasons to want a party, not just free product, but they had fun, they're excited about the specials coming up, they're excited about being the first on the scene with the new catalog, and they had a hesitation, but I already addressed it and kind of eased their minds about that. Now by the time they come to me, they're like, okay, I want to have a party and I want a Thursday. I'm like, great, let's pick one. Yeah, so I call it the Booking Sunday. And if you go into Avengers and type in Booking Sunday, you'll probably actually see a document that I created a while back about that. You can bring that to the virtual world as well. Okay. I also say things like when you schedule your show tonight, or when you choose a date for your party tonight, those are the words I use at an in-home cooking show. On the virtual parties, I say, when you schedule your party before this one closes, or when you schedule your party before Friday, or whatever the day is we're closing. So they know they've got to pick the date.
It's a call to action.
It is. Mm-hmm. And it works. How many of you use a survey slip with the 1 to 10 on it? Yeah. The home office gives us yes, no, and maybe. So for ever and ever and ever, I use the 1 to 10. You can also use 1 to 5. what's really helpful about that is then someone comes up to place their order, and again, we're focused on bookings tonight, so that's why I'm talking about that. But if they circle a 3, you can say, oh, what makes it a 3 for you? Because you have to find out the hesitation in order to offer a solution. If you don't find out what the hesitation is, you will never get to a yes. If there's only a few people who walk up and are yeses right off the bat. I would not have that many parties in my calendar if I only had the yeses in there. Most people have a hesitation, but there are solutions for anything. Okay. My most recent survey slip, just because I got bored with the other one, it's checkoffs, and it's like, you know, how interested are you in having a party? And it's like, yes, no brainer, I'm in. You know, check off the theme you want. The other one is, I'd love to, but, and there's a line, and they fill it out. My house is too small. I don't know anybody. All of my friends are here. Now you don't even have to really dig to find out what the hesitation is. They write it right in there for you. So if I forget, because I'm on vacation for a couple of days, remind me in a couple of days, and I'll post that that survey slip in Avengers. And you can definitely use something like that in your virtual party too. And then do a full service checkout. Talk to everybody. Even if they've circled the 1, you know, talk to everybody. Yes, Lynn. You're muted. Bottom left, I think.
Okay, yeah. I have to have headphones on so I can hear you, but you guys can't hear the television. So here's the thing. One of my last live parties, I had 25 people there. How do you possibly talk to everyone? By the end of the night, my head was spinning. I couldn't keep people straight. I tried to take pictures with people that would be my future hosts, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I just was like, I couldn't. Christine. You know, I had all kinds of names that were similar, and everybody kind of had the same comments, and they're all school teachers. So it wasn't like I could pick one thing that would like trigger someone's name. So it was really difficult for me. So I want to know, how do I do that? Because it used to be my fallback. You know what I mean? So
I love what Josh wrote. He said bravo on 20 plus attendance.
I'm going to put you in my headphones back on. So hold on one second.
Okay, so that's a great question. Now, we don't often have 25 plus people. So there are just going to be some situations where you do the best you can. And if you can only talk to 15, you do what you can. But some things that I institute is when I'm wrapping things up and I'm telling people how to order. Okay, first of all, I'm encouraging them to use the Express Party checkout because I don't have to type in all their information. But I'm telling them, this is like handing me a piece of paper. Your order isn't fully processed. You really do. You have to come talk to me for 2 minutes. So I let them know that that's the case. I have my survey slips with me when and I can see who's sent me their order via the Express checkout, and so I can pick up their survey slip and have it right there. So then I call them down. Okay, Josh, I'm ready to do your order. I see you sent it to me. Come on down. We'll get you checked out. And then I'm going to chat with them. And I take notes on the survey slips. Okay, so I'm chatting with Josh, ask him if he's interested in learning more about the business. If it's no to that, what do you think about having some friends over for a party? Oh, I'm not really sure. Really? What are you not sure about? You know, I just ask, what are you not sure about? And I say it like that. So it's not like an interrogation. What are you not sure about? It's like, hey, you know, what's the hesitation? And I offer a solution. So when I was new, I would write I had a spiral bound notebook, every hesitation I ever heard. And on the other side, all the things that my director told me were solutions. And I would have that and, you know, nearby. And I'd be like, wait, you said not enough people. Okay, well, how about this? Now, I didn't always have the tickler file off the top of my head like I do now. So I'd write the hesitation on the survey slip. And then I would say, so Josh, I get that you're hesitant, and I totally get where you're coming from with your hesitation. If I happen to think of an idea in the next day or two that might work for you, would it be okay if I reached out to you to run it by you? So I'm asking him with permission. If he says no, okay, chances are he didn't want to really book and he was just being polite and coming up with an excuse. But if he's sincere about it, he'll be like, yeah, you can, yeah, let me know. Again, if you go into Avengers and under files, you look up booking hesitation cards. It was a learning thing we did in the past. You can print them out and cut them up, and they're like a little deck of cards. Did you ever have flashcards in school? 4 + 3 is, you flip it over, 7. So these are booking hesitation cards. One says, my house is too small. And you flip it over, and there's some solutions on the other side. There's some blank ones too. So if you're hearing some specific hesitations, you can write down the hesitation on one side and your solution on the other. And if you don't know, post it in the Owl or Avengers and say, hey guys, what would you say to this? And I'm sure a bunch of people will pop in responses. But you'll notice that, how many of you have already noticed there's a theme to hesitations? I don't know enough people. My house isn't big enough. I don't know if I have enough time. And you don't even hear half of those at virtual parties because their house doesn't have to be big. Okay. So if you have solutions for those common hesitations, you're going to get bookings. And I tell people how the full service checkout's going to go. I'm going to be processing orders over here. You need to talk to me. I just need 2 minutes before you leave. And so if I've processed Josh's order and I refresh and now Lynn's got an order in, I'll say to Josh, hey, can you go tell Lynn I'm ready for her? And meanwhile, I'm going through the survey slips to find Lynn's survey slip. Josh goes, hey, Lynn, you're up. Lynn comes in, talks to me for a few minutes. I also, if people aren't placing orders because they're still shopping, but I've got survey slips, I just walk up to the yeses. I'll start with the yeses. Those are easy. Hey, Erica, I saw you want to have a party in September. You want a fajita and margarita party. Great. I grab my calendar and we book it. Okay. So then, what's that? You're muted. Still muted.
So people are hearing that, like, there's excitement built around that person booking a party, and then naturally they're like, oh, I want to have a party, because they want to have that excitement in their life too.
Right. They don't want to miss out. And then they see other people say yes and they just book. So it makes it like, oh, people do these things.
So
okay.
it's smart to start with the people that want to have parties, because then it's contagious from the start.
Yep.
You're so smart.
And if you're going to be walking right up to them, you don't want it to be this, someone who checked off no. It's kind of an awkward conversation. But then let's talk about those people who are like, I'd love to, but. Have you ever had anybody say, I'd love to, but I can't pick a date tonight? And I would say 3/4 of the time, those people walk away with dates when they come to my parties. So someone says, I'd love to, but I can't possibly pick a date tonight. And I say, that's okay, you don't have to. But I'm just curious, did you want to get in on the September deal? Yes, I did. Oh, okay, great. In the month of September, I'm doing my parties on Thursdays and Fridays. I also have 2 Sunday afternoons available. Do you have a preference? I prefer Friday. Okay. Now I feel like when people say I can't pick a date tonight, it's not because they don't want to. It's because they think they can't. They're thinking, oh, good Lord, there's 365 days in a year. What's going to be the perfect day for my party? But if you narrow down to a month, and then you tell them the dates or the days of the week that you're available, and they say, I want a Friday, guess what? We've gone from 365 days to 4. And if you're already booked one of them, there's only 3 left. And then here's the key question, guys. Anybody know the key question? How often do you get paid? I love it when people only get paid twice a month, because I'll say, oh, which Friday is closest to your payday? Oh, then they're like, oh, right. Because, they're going to get orders from their work people and they're counting. Oh, this one and this one are my paydays. Oh, I'm already booked that one. Hey, how about we go with that one? They're like, yes. So now they've got a date, not because they were pressured into picking one, but because I asked them questions that were easy for them to answer. And all of a sudden, a date bubbled up. And they're walking away like, oh, gosh, that was easy. But if they say, I can't possibly pick a date tonight, I say, that's okay. Did you want it on the September specials? Yes, but I don't have my work schedule yet. And then I'll say to them, well, I do Thursdays and Fridays. I've also got a couple of Sundays open. Do you have a preference? And then I'll say, why don't I give you a couple of Fridays that I have open? If they say I want a Friday, how about if I give you a couple that I've got open? And then are you at work tomorrow? Would it be okay if I like texted you at your lunch break just to see if you know, which one of those works for you? And they say, yeah, sure. And now I don't even have to call them and get them on the phone. I just have to say, hey, did you want the 13th or the 20th? Okay. And then I say, and the reason why I'm asking that is because if we happen to get a date in the system before I press send, Josh is going to get credit for the booking. And that's going to mean an extra half price item for him. They don't know me from a hole in the wall. And that's what I mean by leveraging that host bonus. It's very powerful. This is their coworker, their friend, their family member. They want that person to get the booking benefit. And I explained the why behind it. One thing that I brought two things over with me from nursing that have served me well. Number one, if nobody's dying, there's really no reason to get upset or stressed out. Number two, education increases compliance. If people know why they're taking the pill, they'll take the pill. If people know why you need to get a date in the next 24 to 48 hours, they'll do it. Because to them, they're thinking, I'm not having a party till the end of September. What does she need a date for me for? Oh, it's so my friend Josh can get booking credit. Okay, all right. I'll find 2 minutes to get the calendar together. It's huge. It's huge. And people don't feel pressured by it. And guys, if you really want to know for sure, find someone who's been in business a while, who's good at getting bookings at shows. Go to their party. Don't just look at what they do. Sit next to them during that full service checkout. Check out the conversations that are happening, and you will see guests do not feel pressured by this. They're excited by this. They're like, oh yeah, no problem. You ask them those questions and a date bubbles up. They're as relieved as you are. They're like, well, that was easy. Great. Now go post a save the date message right now to tell all your friends the date you picked. Okay. Then if there are some maybes out there, make sure to let the host in on it. When I'm talking to my hosts about the 3 booking challenge, I say it's really good to at least get 1 booking from someone who can't come. And of course, I give them the words to say and who to look out for. And then I want 2 more that night. And if I get 1 and the other one's iffy, I'm going to say to the host, well, you've got 2 bookings. And I just did this the other night. You got 2 bookings on the books, and you know you're going to get the blah, blah, blah if you get a 3rd one. And this person left, and he was really interested, but he needed to check his calendar. So what I want you to do is in the next day or 2, I want you to message them and say, oh my gosh, I can't even wait till your party. I've already set aside what I'm going to get at half price there. So, you know, kind of leverage. The host will help you get those bookings. Okay. And don't be super serious at the full service checkout if you're not super serious at your party. Okay, that was one thing I struggled with. Here I am, this kind of fun, goofy, having a blast person. And all of a sudden we get to the full service checkout. I have to be very professional. And all of a sudden it was like, I was stressed with that. And I think my guests kind of were too. So I joke a bit. A lot of times people, I'll say, so what do you think about having some friends over, you know, for a party of your own? Oh, I can't do it right now. Do you have anybody say that? Oh, I can't right now. Do you know what my response is? I say, oh, I can't either. I mean, I'm right in the middle of this party. I think if I packed up and left, Josh would be really mad. Like, wow, it's never even finished. And then people laugh and it puts them at ease. Okay, so then I just say, so when were you thinking? What month were you thinking? Okay, and again, take the notes on the survey slips. And if you're newer at solidifying dates at the parties, what do you think you should do soon after that party? Talk to me. Yeah, you can send me a picture of your survey slip with the notes on it, whether they were, or just say, you know, I had this person, their concern was da 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 da, and I'll message you back with words to say that you can then, if you like them, copy and paste them as is, or change it up a little bit to make it sound more like you, and text or message them that way. All right, screenshots of your friends, right? I loved what what David posted. You know you're a Pampered Chef consultant when you hear doing shots and you think screenshots. All right. So that's it in a big nutshell. I think I successfully recorded this, so I can put the replay up there. And I will also post my notes. This is one of those things you want to be really intentional about. Think about what you heard. Think about a few things that you're like, yeah, if I do that, that's going to make a big difference for me. We're all in different places. We all have different things that kind of come naturally or need a little tweaking. But I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway was from tonight's call. Who wants to share? Biggest takeaway.
I have one, and I've been looking at it with some of the other online host coaching that I've been seeing from Sue Moulton and Stephen Joseph and all that. But I like the idea of an incentive for the hosts getting bookings for you. So I'm definitely going to try to put something like that together.
And I think Stephen Joseph was the originator of that, or the one who really, made that sort of mainstream. Yeah.
We'll give him credit.
Definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Okay. How about you, Brooklyn? You've been kind of quiet. What was your biggest takeaway?
I like the incentive for the bookings as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, if you're doing the in-home parties, bookings before the parties, just make it, hey, you're going to probably get one or two before, because there's going to be a lot of people who won't be able to make it, and they're going to be really disappointed. Just set that expectation. Yeah. Who's got the phone number that ends in 1806?
That's me, that I just joined. I was really late. It's Kelly.
Oh, hi, Kelly. So did you hear?
I caught my kids to bed just now. I did not. I think I came in at the very last second.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for joining us. And you can definitely listen to the replay, and you can hear what everybody else's big takeaways were. So when you're listening to the replay, you can be like, oh, I want to zoom in on that one. All right. How about you, Lynn? Still can't hear you yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I got a house full of people. So my biggest takeaway is always getting the booking date. And I always leave the party and with I got to follow up with them. And it seems like they never want to answer the phone, or now their interest is diminished. So my biggest one is, I like when you said, in September, I'm booking on Thursday and Friday. And I also have a couple Sundays that I'm going to totally use that, because I usually just take my calendar and hold it there, and I have a couple highlighted things, but I still think people look at the calendar and I don't know. And like you said, what's the perfect day? You make it the perfect day by just picking it. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest takeaway. I like that phase.
And if others of you don't have, specific days of the week, it varies depending on your kids' schedules. People have taken sticky notes, and they put 5 of them out there for the month of September, whatever 5 dates they've got. And then they just say to people, which of these, here are my 5 dates. So then again, people are looking, and it's easier for them to pick a date, when they know your availability. It narrows the focus. I always say it's like kids. You don't say, what do you want for breakfast to a 3-year-old or 4-year-old? You say, do you want Cheerios or do you want an egg? You give them 2 good options. Yeah. All right, Erica, what was your big takeaway? Still muted.
I was saying I'm trying to unmute myself.
Oh,
Okay. So I think some of my biggest takeaways are, first of all, in order to overcome an objection, you have to identify an objection. So anytime that I'm trying to close somebody on setting an appointment or booking a time, I start narrow, and then I go broad. And then I narrow it back down again and give them options that they feel in control and that they're making the decision. And then they're much more comfortable with the decision that they've made, right? I All right, go on to Chris and come back to me.
And it's true, you know, I kind of lead the witness. Oh, so did you want September? Because that's what I want them to say. Yeah, I think I liked that September special. Oh, fabulous. So, but they do, they feel in control, and they can say, no, I don't want September, I want October. But then people don't feel pressured when they are making the decisions. But we definitely lead the witness a bit to kind of get them in the time frame we want. And guys, this is one of those things that once you get good at it, you don't even need to be good at it anymore, because you've got so many bookings. Parts of this will probably come very naturally. It will probably improve, you know, right away when you pick one or two key ideas to implement. But just give just know that it took me a long time to kind of get smooth at this. But I'll tell you, it will be faster than you think if you really just commit to the process. You know, commit to writing that stuff in your host coaching, committing to finding out what that hesitation is, finding the right survey slip that's going to work for you, whether it's the 1 through 5, 1 through 10, or whether it's I'd love to, but, and give them the opportunity to fill that in so you know what the hesitation is. And definitely talking to me after every party if you've got hesitations that you weren't able to address. Because whatever you're hearing, I have probably heard a lot of times. And nothing been, I mean, when you tell me you got a booking, what can I do? I can go, yay! And I love to cheer. But it doesn't help you move the ball forward. So when you've got a hesitation that I can help you with, that just brings me great joy, because I can actually, you know, possibly help you move the ball forward. And maybe it doesn't move that particular booking forward, but the next time you bump into that hesitation, you're going to be armed and ready. Okay, so guys, these 2 calls were specific about bookings. The Rockstars on the Rise next month is going to be for people who graduate from this one, and in the month of September have at least 8 parties booked, and that can be both live and virtual, either or a blend of both. Those trainings will be once a week, probably not quite as long as these have been. These have been an hour each. But those are going to be focused on the skills and the habits to manage that larger show schedule, and also on building a team. So what I'd love for you guys to do is message me. Number 1, what are you going to do to adjust your host coaching? One thing that you're going to do to adjust your host coaching to increase bookings. One thing that you're going to do at your parties, either live or virtual, to increase bookings. How many parties do you currently have in September? And how many would you like to have in September? And do you want to participate in the next stage of the Rockstars on the Rise training next month? And if not, what's your hesitation? Because I want to help you overcome it. Okay, so what are you going to do for host coaching that's going to be a little different? What are you going to do a little different at your parties? How many do you have in September? And do you wish to participate in the next stage of the Rockstars on the Rise? Okay. All right, and I'm going to